Hey fish friends, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Zenzo with Tazawa Tanks. Popping in here on another koi enterprise video. If you didn't see that last one, I had mentioned that this video was going to be released on the main Aquarium Co-op channel, and we decided to shift gears and go ahead and put it on this channel instead. For those of you that don't know, I do work for Aquarium Co-op. So this video is all about koi enterprise. It's this amazing koi farm, I guess, where they breed and sell fish, they auction fish off. It's a really cool facility. So thank you to Anthony for allowing us to film there, take up some of his time, do a bunch of filming, and it should be a fun video. So let's go ahead and check it out.
Good morning. Can you sit? Good girl. You ready to start our day? All right, let's go do it.
So typical day, we start our mornings off with checking all the fish, making sure everything's operational. We have a little husbandry checklist that we go by, making sure that the tanks are done. On Wednesdays, we do backwashing. Saturdays, we do backwashing. So we have our set backwash days and water change days. But for the most part, it runs pretty smoothly as long as the power stays on.
We are at Koi Enterprise in Sacramento, California. We're gonna get a tour today from Anthony, the owner here of his amazing koi pond and koi facility. This has a very much kind of a Florida fish farm backyard feel. So Anthony, good to meet you.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely, welcome.
Yeah. I was peeking around earlier.
Yeah.
I saw this pond. I'm like, that is my dream.
Let's go
right.
check it out. So this is our just shy of 10,000 gallon koi pond.
Okay.
It's my pride and joy. Believe it or not, when I purchased the property about 18 years ago, this is the first thing I built. I wasn't even living on the property.
I believe it.
So this is my first pride. These are a lot of the fish that I've had since I was 16 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you got some real large, old koi there.
All different ages.
Yeah.
From Tosai, from a 1-year-old all the way up to 16, 18 years old.
Wow. How many fish do you have in here?
I have no idea.
Okay, I was gonna guess like 25, 30 or something like that.
Probably more.
Okay.
Last time we did a kind of a count, we were up in the 60s.
Oh, wow. Okay, so a lot. And it looks like it's pretty deep. So it's 10,000 gallons, you said?
It's just shy of 10,000.
Okay, so it goes down, how deep is it?
It goes down almost 6 foot.
Okay, so in wintertime here, that's perfectly fine. California, mild winters.
So far, so good.
So yeah, we don't get the Midwest and back east kind of winter. So yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, eat all the time. We have a little machine that the kids come and they put their little, quarters in.
Yep.
There used to be an aquarium store downtown Sacramento. They used to have a front koi pond.
Right.
And I grew up with that. It was 10 cents back then.
Right.
And when my son grew up, unfortunately that aquarium store is not there anymore.
Right.
And I was like, I want to bring that same feel back.
Yeah.
So we have neighborhood kids and all
that is
come
so
here and
cool.
feed the fish.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I would probably come out here every morning with my coffee and just throw out handfuls of fish food and let the koi come up to me. Beautiful.
So the spaces here are done purposefully, and we have actual workflow. Just behind me, you'll notice that there's a greenhouse. That is our quarantine greenhouse. We have 10 tanks. All the tanks we do specific breeders. So I can only bring in and import 10 breeders. I will never bring in 11 or 12 because that means I'd have to share a tank. And should there ever be a problem, at least we can isolate where the issue is coming from. And it's not so much to point the finger, it's more just to have a control and to protect the end consumer. We do this for the end consumer and for the hobby in general. And we want everyone to have a good experience when entering the koi hobby. Normally, I don't allow people in, but because we've already gone through the quarantine process, we use a UC Davis veterinary service for the last 16 years.
Wow.
And so they do all our viral testing from SVC, KHV, CEV, the whole deal. When I do the quarantining, this is the end of the day of my thing.
Okay.
I shower before I enter and I shower after I leave.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so I don't touch any of the fish.
Right.
Or I go straight to the shower.
That's the necessary commitment to take care of these fish.
We go through so much work. It just makes sense.
Sure.
we have curtains to kind of divide everything.
Okay.
So you notice everything has its own heater, its own UV light, its own filter, its own nets, and then everything's labeled number 1.
Right.
So this is tank 1. All the fish in here, especially that toncho.
Yeah.
It looks like yours.
Yeah.
They all come from the same breeder, same source.
Right.
So we don't mix them. So we have an issue in this tank, we know where to trace it back to.
How long do they stay in quarantine?
Minimum 30 days. I've had them as long as 90 days.
Okay.
I'm not afraid to hold my fish to make sure that we have the absolute healthiest fish.
Right.
The greenhouse heats the water so that we don't use electricity. We're in California, it's expensive.
Right.
Some of the virals we're dealing with have to be in the permissive water temperatures. That's usually between 76, 78, 81 degrees. We want to keep them there for a period of time.
I see, okay. Yeah, because normally when we think of koi fish, we think of cooler water, and the fact that you have them in the greenhouse raises the temperature and helps to get rid of those diseases.
Correct.
Okay.
And so here we have another shipment. This is tank 4.
Yeah.
This one we use a monitor. So we have everything's ammonia, ammonium, nitrite, nitrate, alkalinity, pH, oxygen, turbidity. So it does about 12 different parameters on that guy. And it's just a self-cleaning probe down here.
Right.
And it just alerts us.
That is really cool.
Back here, we actually feed like 8 times a day.
Wow.
So these guys aren't starved. We're feeding and feeding and
And
feeding.
you feed manually? Or?
We feed everything manually.
Okay.
We used to have auto feeders, which is great, but we still try to keep it personal because I want to evaluate the fish.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the part, I enjoy that part.
Yeah. And then they get used to you feeding, they'll come up and you can see them better.
Absolutely.
Now you built this greenhouse and all the...
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was the second thing on the property.
And so you dug the holes.
So I dug the hole, the filter pit's under here.
Okay.
So that one's propped up. You can see some of the filters we run.
Yep.
So we get in there, do all our maintenance.
Right.
These are these 4 tanks. All these tanks are individual, and I built it so that we could extend the greenhouse forward.
Right.
So once they finish the 30-day minimum quarantine and UC Davis comes in, they do all our SVC, KHV, and CEV, so virals, we do parasitic, and we do water quality. They give us the okay. We go ahead and we rotate them to the systems next to the greenhouse. Those are 4 tanks on each system, each composing of 1,000 gallons. So it's a 4,000 gallon total on the left and a 4,000 gallon total on the right. That's the first time the fish are actually intermixed with each other. Once they're intermixed and the stock toward the front of the retail tanks becomes low, we rotate from the back forward and we never go the opposite way, meaning there's never fish in the retail tank, they'll go back into the greenhouse. This is kind of how we divide all the different fish according to price and quality.
Okay.
We have some long wave run tanks that we'll take a look at really quick, and those have some of our larger fish in display. In the retail area, there's smaller ponds. They're actually rectangular recirculating tanks, and they each are priced individually. We price our koi based off quality. So a lot of times when you go into an aquarium store or even a water garden store and you're buying koi, there'll be a price for small koi, medium koi, and possibly even larger koi. Here, you'll find that in our $50 bin, for example, we will keep different size koi, but all of the same quality caliber.
This is open to the public, right?
It is, Tuesday
For
through
customers.
Saturday, 9 to 4:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so basically, they don't need to call or anything. They can just come here during normal hours and shop for fish.
That is correct.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
Some of our larger koi, these house some Tosai and Nisai, so 1-year-old and 2-year-olds.
Okay.
And on the right side, we have a few that are 3-year-olds. But mostly we try to keep it a 1 or 2-year-old.
Right.
Just for the size of ponds locally in Sacramento.
And that way they have time to be in that smaller pond and grow for a few years.
Correct. A lot of times people don't know the names, and that's okay. I mean, I didn't know all the names when I started.
Yeah.
So interesting enough, I like to keep this posted up here so that people are like, oh, I really want a red and black. And I'm like, oh, Hiyotsuri.
Yeah.
And so little by little, the customers are getting accustomed to it. When it comes to koi specifically, I believe that it holds a story to everyone differently. My journey and my story started with my family. My aunt got me my first aquarium, and it just grew from there. It was actually cichlids and Oscars, believe it or not. And then I transitioned into koi, and later to find out that koi do not grow to the size of their environment. They outgrow it, so hence the reason I upgraded from a tank over to an outdoor pond.
And he said, Mom, we built a pond. I said, what do you mean you built a pond? They were full of dirt. So I went to my backyard, and here is a hole in the ground with plastic bags and pieces of brick around. And I said, is that a koi pond? And he said, yes. And I said, what's a koi? And he said, Mom, it's a fish. Did you ever see one?
I am grateful to be able to work with my mother. I am able to work with my father. I'm able to work with my sister, and I'm able to work with my son pretty much every day. And it's just a wonderful, great journey. So the morning that I wake up and I have all the people that I love around me is a great day. Mom, I just want to tell you something, that you're the most wonderful, beautiful person in the whole wide world. And every time you say that I'm wrong, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I just want to tell you that I love you from the bottom of my heart.
Do you need anything from me today?
No, just give me a hug and shut up.
So what do you normally recommend for like someone just getting into koi and not wanting to spend hundreds of dollars on something, maybe like an entry level $35, $50 fish? What would you say for like a pond size?
I would say, you know, that 253, even up to 500 gallon range.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because there is a such thing in Japan as a bonsai koi.
Yes.
Which is a koi, and
it's
you
like
know,
stunted.
That's like 7, 8 years old,
Right.
stunted. They still grow, but at a
Right.
much slower rate.
Right.
So if you can find that sort, we use those a lot in indoor ponds.
Okay.
I say with koi fish, make sure that you're a good match by doing your research. Whether that's the internet, whether that's a good koi book, or whether that's joining the local koi club. There's koi clubs all over the United States and all parts of the world. So I encourage you, do a quick Google search, see if you find a koi club. Remember, they probably made the mistake, so learn from their mistakes before you make costly ones of your own. Some of the circular tanks that we stock, we've been using these a lot for the live show that we host on Thursdays. So some of them will have a sign that says live show, and that's
wow.
for us to remind us, you know, what fish are what. We have to label them and separate them.
Yeah, that's really cool. So filtration, looks like they're all on one system. Are they all connected to a giant canister?
So we have an Ultima 2 over there doing 5 systems, and the rest of them are run off our Euro pump here.
Okay.
So the best thing about a well is not having to deal with chlorine or chloramines. So we don't use a dechlorinator. We can do flow through systems, meaning we can leave the water running and just, you know, water goes in, water goes out. We do that a lot when we're importing koi and we have a really heavy, dense load to kind of help dilute ammonia as the filter starts to kick in. Because you have to remember, when we're importing koi, we sanitize every tank before shipments. So that means sanitizing the filter and all the equipment. So essentially, we're breaking the rules. We're doing a heavy, heavy stock with not a mature biofilter. And so you can imagine the challenge of putting in 1,000 small 3 to 4 inch koi in a 1,000 gallon tank with a virgin filter. It can be a challenge, but with the flow through system in the well water, that's a big advantage for us.
So are you importing fish from Japan?
Only Japan.
Okay.
Yep, I import fish from Japan, hand select every fish from Japan.
And that's why not too many $35 fish, more expensive ones.
Yeah, with the pandemic and the way pricing is with fuel and transportation.
Travel, yes, the whole thing.
You have to realize that we're probably shipping the most expensive water that's unusable.
Right.
I can't drink it, and my grass still looks the way it looks.
Yeah. Okay. Do you already know like what people want, or do you just have to go there and kind of decide what you're going to get for the season, and what do you look for when you're selecting fish?
So great question. I used to go off a list. People make requests. I want a kohaku, tancho, showa, this and this, and then I would go out and I'd try to find those fish. As I matured and grew, what I've learned is I passed up a lot of good fish. So now I have a list. I'm aware of the list. It's in the back of my head. But when I enter a facility, I try to select the best fish at that time as I'm seeing the ponds, whether I need it or not. I just want the best fish. And then my other rule of thumb is never buy fish past 3 o'clock.
Why is that?
Because of the sun. The light. As the light gets dimmer in the greenhouses in Japan, all the fish look good. You really want to see them in full sun. So I will look, but I won't buy. Oh, you're hungry today, huh? All right, here you go. Morning chow. It's a lot of fish to feed. And so when I set out to formulate a food, I hired nutritionalists specialized in aquaculture and fin fish, specifically carp, koi fish. And we developed a formula that we could feed it to our farm. We did it in bulk. Our customers always ask us, what do you feed? The fish look really good, they're healthy. And I tell them it's Beni, B-E-N-I, Beni koi food. We have 2 kinds. We have Beni Color Kichi, which is a color enhancement food with spirulina. We also have one called Beni Dynamic. Think of it as a multivitamin for your fish. Beni koi food is actually available in East Coast and West Coast through retailers. If you just do a simple Google search for Beni koi food, a bunch of them will pop up. So I'm checking the Medaka. We have tricolors here. I have Mayuki blues here. And I'm really excited because all these fish were being spawned, and now the Mayuki blues will probably have about 500 of them this year. So super excited. I'm checking on the babies, and they're still laying eggs, so I'm ecstatic.
What got you into this hobby and made you want to basically turn it into a business?
So I was that young boy that just fell in love with water, and then I found fish.
Okay.
You know, started volunteering at a koi farm here in Sacramento.
Right.
Was there for 7 years, and the gentleman said, if you're really serious, you got to go to Japan and train.
Right.
So I packed my bags and I moved to Japan for 2 years.
Wow, so you speak Japanese and everything now, okay.
And I had a vast amount of colleagues and mentors
Right.
from the University of Davis to the University of Georgia.
Right.
From the health aspect of it, I thought I was going to be an archaeologist.
Yeah,
I was going to be a veterinarian.
Sure.
And then I'm like, but koi kept on calling me, and this koi dealer and ornamentals.
Yeah.
And it was just all the aspects of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now tell us a little bit about the live stream koi sales, because this is interesting. This is on Facebook?
So actually we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and we're also on our live web and our custom app.
Okay, so you're everywhere pretty much.
Pretty much.
And when do those happen?
Every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Anthony, for showing us around.
Absolutely.
Really love this facility. As even have chickens here. I can hear the rooster in the background. So where can people find you if they want to shop at Koi Enterprise or online? What's the best way?
Absolutely. So you can go online, and we're at koienterprise.com.
Okay.
We're open Tuesday through Saturday, and if you want to come by, we're located in West Sacramento, 3535 Partridge Avenue.
Awesome, awesome. So it was a great tour. Love seeing the greenhouse and all the ponds in the back. So thanks very much for having us.
Absolutely.
It was great. Yeah,
you
thank
too.
you.
It's a pleasure. We're doing every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific.
Ready?
Again.
Retake. Pacific.
All right.
We're on the Pacific coast.
3, 2, 1. When do those happen?
Every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
All right. Awesome. You can
I'll see what I can do there.
マナチ自然の楽しむ